Hello fellow travelers, welcome back to Den of the Wonder. So today I've got this little mini journal and I'm going to walk you guys through how I made the mixed media cover for it. And I'll do a full flip through of the insides on my regular journal channel. But this is a journal that I made for a little witchy swap that I have coming up. And I thought it would be fun, since it is for the Sabbat of Lughnasadh, that you guys could get some ideas on maybe some fun Sabbat crafts. So I'm going to have a little tiny mini series of Sabbat crafts coming up after this. And you'll also get to see how to make a little mixed media cover for a quick little easy book like this. So, this is how it came out in the end, and I will post some finished images onto my Instagram. But it came out really cute, and I went with like a little bee themed and kept it in the colors of the Sabbat, and it was just really fun to make. And I bound it with Sea Lemon's secret Belgian bookbinding, hidden Belgian bookbinding, something like that. And I will link that down below, and then I'll also link the video where I flip through the pages so you guys can check that out. But it was just a fun little simple project, and I thought I would share it with you guys. So I'm going to pop some music on, and occasionally pop back in to do a little bit of a voiceover so you guys can kind of know what I'm doing. And we'll just get on it. See you guys on the table. Thanks for watching. Alright, so to get started, I just have some regular chipboard pieces that I have painted white with just regular gesso. If you don't have gesso, you can use acrylic paint, that's fine. The gesso wasn't actually paramount. I just like it because it has a really good coverage and gives a bit of teeth to what I'm doing, so anything I put down on top of this will grab a lot easier. And I just have this napkin. I got these at Tuesday Morning a while back. I'm sure that they have something similar still. If you can't find a sunflower napkin, definitely go check the Dollar Tree or any place near you. You don't need to have a sunflower napkin. You can use any napkins you have on hand or any pattern that you desire. I just want to show you guys a fun way to make a book cover without having to dig out a bunch of fancy fabrics or anything like that. And, you know, just have a little fun with some mixed media and play. I think that really is going to add to the overall effect that we're going for, and it's going to add to the intention behind this journal, because like I said, it's a gift in a swap that I have with a friend, and I think it's a good idea, or a fun idea, I'll say, to put your intention into what you're doing. And projects that are like mixed media or really involved tend to build up more intention as you're going, so you can actually put in a lot of, like, you know, good vibes and happy energy into the project that you're doing just through the act of creating. And by doing something a little more in depth, it gives you more time to connect with that piece, but also make sure that energy that you're putting into it comes across for the person who's receiving that gift. So I'm using the napkin and just regular Mod Podge. I also have some of this craft tissue paper that I got in some mail that I had not too long ago. So I'm just repurposing some packaging, and that's another one of the reasons why I like doing mixed media so much, because you can really just kind of pull from anywhere and, you know, give new life to things that you might not necessarily have used or just kind of thrown away. And I think that's kind of one of those things that's really important, especially around the times of Sabbats. You know, you want to be a little more conscientious of what you're doing and make sure that that shows in your craft and your practice and things that you're doing. So if you can think of some ways to recycle stuff and repurpose it to give it a second life, definitely try that out. So I don't really have a super plan in mind here. I like the idea of putting the single panel in the middle of the book so that it runs from cover to cover, just to kind of have a running image so it looks like it was a whole piece to start out with. But other than that, I'm really just kind of going in at random. Gonna add in some random bits and pieces of the other panel of sunflowers, just to get that happy sunny vibe into the background. You'll see at the end most of this is covered up. It's still visible if you're holding it. On camera it doesn't look like it's really there that much, but in person you can still see all the stuff in the background. So if you're worried about like covering it up and not being able to see everything you put down, it is just the base layer, so it's not like essential, but it's still there. It didn't completely disappear. I'm not really sure what happened there. Something went wrong with my camera, I think, and it just kind of glitched out. So after I glued everything down, I went back over it with a really thin layer of the gesso, just to kind of send that stuff into the background even further. And I'm just using this giant stamp that I have. It's like a peeled paint stamp, and some of this mushroom colored ink that I got from Tuesday Morning. It's an old like Ranger set, but they were still like really viable, so that was kind of a lucky find. And I'm just doing this to add some interest to the background. It's kind of a grayish brown, like a warm gray kind of color. So that's going to be the next layer that I add, and I'm going to do some more stamping with some potting soil archival ink, and then some of that jet black archival ink, just to kind of build up some more layers, add some more interest. This is like a chicken wire honeycomb-esque type of stamp, which, given the fact that I decided to use a bee as the centerpiece, I think kind of matched really well. And then I have this script stamp, which has seen better days. I probably should get a new one, because it has definitely lost its luster, but I love this stamp, and I use it all the time. So that's just like a quick way you can build up some layers with stamping by using different colors, and starting out with like your lightest color and then moving up into your darker colors will give you more visual interest and some more depth into what you're doing. So I'm just going to put down some Distress Oxides. I think it's mustard seed. Don't quote me on that. It could be the other yellow color, fossilized amber. I really don't remember. I shot this a while ago and I can't see the actual Distress Oxide. But I'm just going to spray them with some water, get them wet, so I can get some color built up into that background. They are opaque, or semi-opaque. They aren't going to cover up all the stamping, so you don't have to worry about losing that. But it is going to add some fun color and like elements to the background, and get rid of all that whiteness from the gesso that we put down on top. So I'm going to dry those off. And it's really important to dry between the layers. You tend to kind of muddy your colors if you just keep applying on top of the wet. But also you lose all those cool like shapes that you get from the pools of ink if you don't dry them in between. And I left this part in because I just wanted to show you guys how long it takes to dry it. This video is sped up, so you can imagine it takes quite a bit. It probably took me about an hour to put this whole cover together, which isn't so bad because mixed media projects can be pretty lengthy in time. But if you feel like you're taking forever while you're doing it, I just wanted to leave it in so you guys can see. It's not a big deal. It takes a while, and it's alright. So yeah, my camera kept cutting out. I don't know why. I think I have some storage issues. I gotta like clean up some space. But all I did was use some regular Distress ink in Wild Honey. The regular Distress inks are translucent, so they will show whatever is in the background completely. So after all of that is dry, I busted out some memory hardware powder. And I also have some gold texture paste, and I'm going to use the memory hardware powder to go around all of the edges to give a good like border, but also to add some of this like rusty orange red color into the background, because I wanted to make sure I kind of hit all the color notes for the Sabbat. And I think Lughnasadh is really interesting. It's kind of hard. It has a lot of the same elements as Maven does, you know, because it's the first harvest and Maven is the second harvest, so they have a lot of the similar kind of things, and colors and themes. Orange and reds are pretty popular, so it's really tricky. There's like a fine line in between the colors that you choose for Lughnasadh versus Maven, because, you know, if you go too dark, you end up in fall colors, and that's how you end up in the Maven colors. So if you are going to make this for Lughnasadh, just keep in mind, choose some brighter colors. Make sure that you use, you know, all the yellows at your disposal and your bright happy oranges, and not like your more muted fall toned oranges. Those warmer oranges aren't, I guess, warm orange is a warm color regardless, but you know what I'm talking about. Those really rusty oranges are going to make it a lot more fall, which is why I only did the border of this in this rusty color and kept everything else in the bright yellows and oranges. And then because I absolutely love when anything is super metallic and shiny, I busted out this honeycomb stencil I have and some of this gold texture paste. When I first got this texture paste, it was really runny, so this paste has been around for a while and is now finally like paste consistency, which I am appreciative of because I can actually use it for everything I want to now. If you do not have a gold texture paste, you can just get texture paste and add gold paint to it to turn it gold. Do keep in mind it is going to thin out your texture paste, so you'll have to be a little more careful about how you apply, but otherwise it'll work just the same. Or you can go the long route and use regular texture paste and then just paint it gold. That's if you are an extremely fastidious, patient type of person. That would work really well for you. I'm not that person, so it's straight up gold texture paste. And this is going to add a really great shine. It's going to bring up a lot of those yellow colors and elements that I was talking about and kind of give it a good pop and then tie into, like I said, the bee centerpiece that I chose for this piece. So you are going to want to wait for this to dry. You can use your heat tool. It will cause the texture paste to bubble. I just set this outside so it could charge in the sun a little bit, pick up some of that solar energy. And now I have some Prima wax, and then the only 2 pots of patina effect paste that I have that aren't totally dry. So if you do have those like rust effects or patina effect paste, make sure that you dry them off completely, or you use them completely, I mean, because they're going to dry really quickly. And I have this burlap flower, and because I was having so many technical difficulties, I did this flower off camera instead of just trying to mess with my camera anymore. But I'm going to do the same thing to the cover, so you're going to get to see how that was done. I used those patina effect paste on the flower on top of using the gold wax as well. And then I used just some regular Fabri-Tac to stick the flower down. And I'm going to use the E6000 to stick the bee. And this was just a regular charm, and I cut the little like loop for the chain off of it, and then sanded that down so there wasn't any sharp edges. And then I'm just going to use some glossy accents to add some of this copper colored glitter glue. And what I will say here is make sure that your bee piece is dry before you start doing this, because it falls off if you don't. I managed to put mine back on before everything got all too like messy, and it was fine. It stuck just perfectly, but you know, work smarter, not harder, kids. So I just dumped all that glitter glue on, and once I was sure that I was happy with how it came out, I left it like that, and that's all it took. And then I'm going to go back over the whole cover, use my finger, and just kind of dip into that pot and color it up and add that patina effect to the whole cover. Now I am going to focus on the areas where there is more gold, as opposed to just going randomly across the whole cover, but I do want to kind of tie that all in. There is green in the napkin that I use, so I think it will kind of blend the whole background together a little well and bring that green a little bit more forward. And like I said, if you're trying to avoid hitting the fall vibe of Maven, using green like this is definitely a good idea. It's kind of a minty, patina colored green. Go figure. So that'll bring more of that new harvest, first harvest sort of vibe that you're going for into it, as opposed to the darker colors for fall. And then this is like a brass paint. It was a paint. It is now a paste because that's how dried up this pot is, but it still works pretty well, especially for this finger type application that I've got going on here. And it's like a brassy gold color. And I'm just going to go over the top of the places where I put that green. Not to like wipe out the green completely, but kind of to sort of blend the two together and really build up that patina effect. So the bee piece was a silver charm. I gessoed over the top of that and then used that gold wax to turn it gold, because I didn't want to go find a gold bee charm, and I had this one already. And I really like how it came out anyways. I think it kind of adds some interesting like dimension and effect. It doesn't blend totally in, you know, to the background or anything like that. It sort of stands on its own. So I'm really happy with how that came out. And I really love how this cover came out. Super cute. That's all from me, guys. Bye!